All right, ready to dive into something that I think is on a lot of expectant mothers' minds. We're talking stretch marks during pregnancy.
Oh, yeah.
And we've got a whole stack of research articles here. We're going to try to break down, why they form, who gets them, and most importantly, what you can do to try to prevent them.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? Stretch marks, or scoriae gravidarum if you want to get fancy, they're so common. They affect a huge percentage of pregnant women. And yet there are still so many, misconceptions.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Let's clear some of those up right now. So first off, what are they exactly? Are they always like those dramatic red streaks we see in photos?
Not necessarily. What we see as stretch marks are actually tears in the dermis. That's that middle layer of your skin. Initially, they often do appear kind of reddish or pink because the tears are fresh. Over time, they kind of fade and become those silvery white lines, the ones we usually think of. And how prominent they are varies from person to person.
Yeah, I see. So I imagine those tears happen because the skin is stretching so much, especially as the baby grows.
Yeah.
Is that all it is?
Well, that's a big part of it, especially when the belly and the breasts are growing so rapidly. You can kind of think of it like a balloon being inflated too quickly. Eventually, the material can't keep up and then it tears. But it's not just the physical stretching. Hormonal changes during pregnancy play a big role too. Those hormone shifts can actually alter the elasticity of your skin, making it much more susceptible to those tears.
So it's like a double whammy, huh? The skin is stretching, but then on top of that, it's also more vulnerable to tearing because of the hormonal changes going on at the same time.
Exactly. And then, of course, we have to factor in genetics as well. Some women are just predisposed to stretch marks. It runs in their families.
So if your mom had stretch marks, you're more likely to get them too. That doesn't sound very encouraging. So does that mean prevention is hopeless?
Oh, not at all. While genetics does play a role, it's certainly not a guarantee. And this is where the research gets really interesting. It points to some very concrete things you can actually do to reduce your risk.
Okay, I'm all ears. Because I know I've heard about olive oil and cocoa butter being these miracle cures, but I have a feeling you're about to burst that bubble.
You're right to be skeptical. Several of the studies we looked at found no significant benefit from using those products to prevent stretch marks. In fact, one study specifically tested olive oil on 100 pregnant women and found it didn't make a difference.
Wow, so those home remedies aren't the answer. So what can we do? What are the real risk factors here, and how can we take control?
Well, let's start with those risk factors. We already touched on genetics. If your mother or grandmother had stretch marks, you're statistically more likely to develop them. But again, it's not a foregone conclusion. Another really significant factor is BMI, both before and during pregnancy.
So the higher your BMI, the greater your risk. Is that because there's more weight, which means more stretching?
Well, that's part of it. A higher BMI often means there's a thicker layer of fat under the skin, and that can make the stretching more pronounced. Also, certain hormones are more prevalent in people with higher BMIs, and those can actually weaken the collagen fibers in your skin, so it makes it less elastic.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's not just about the amount of weight, but also about how that weight impacts hormones and skin structure. What about weight gain during pregnancy itself? Is that a risk factor too?
Yeah, it is, especially if the weight gain is rapid. It's actually similar to what we were talking about with BMI, that rapid stretching can really overtax the skin's ability to keep up, even if your overall BMI is within a healthy range.
So it's all about managing that weight gain throughout the pregnancy. I'm guessing following your doctor's recommendations is key here.
You're absolutely right. Working with your healthcare provider to establish a healthy weight gain pattern specifically for your body and your pregnancy is one of the best things you can do. And speaking of things you can control, hydration is another big one.
Oh, I'm all about staying hydrated, but how does drinking water actually help prevent stretch marks? Is it just about keeping the skin, plumped up?
It's more than that. Staying hydrated helps to maintain your skin's elasticity. Think of your skin like a rubber band. A well-hydrated rubber band is going to be more flexible and less likely to snap when it's stretched, right?
Oh, that's a great analogy. So water helps keep that rubber band in good shape. Okay, so hydration and managing weight gain are at the top of the list. What else can we do? Does skincare play a role?
It does, but maybe not in the way you think. While those miracle creams might not deliver, a good skincare routine can definitely support your skin's health during pregnancy.
So stock up on the fancy, expensive creams.
You don't need anything fancy. Gentle exfoliation can be helpful because it removes dead skin cells and encourages new cell turnover, which helps your skin stay supple. And moisturizing regularly is always a good idea to keep the skin hydrated from the outside in.
So we're talking basic, gentle skincare, not necessarily expensive products or anything. What about diet? I've heard that what you eat can affect your skin's health too.
Absolutely. A diet rich in vitamin C can actually help your body produce more collagen. And collagen is that protein that gives your skin its structure and elasticity, essential for preventing those tears that can lead to stretch marks.
So foods like citrus fruits, berries, bell peppers, all those good things.
Exactly. Remember, this is about setting yourself up for success, not striving for some kind of perfection. Making healthy choices can make a big difference. And the good news is those healthy choices benefit not just your skin, but your overall health and well-being during pregnancy.
Oh, that's reassuring to hear. It feels empowering to know that we have some control over this, even if we can't change our genes. But what about those of us who already have stretch marks, whether from a previous pregnancy or just life in general? Is there anything we can do to reduce their appearance?
That's a great question, and one we should definitely address. While complete removal is often difficult, there are treatments that can help improve the appearance of existing stretch marks.
Like laser therapy. I've heard that can be effective.
Yeah, laser therapy is a popular option. It works by stimulating collagen production and encouraging skin regeneration.
So it's not a quick fix, but it can make a difference.
Exactly. And I think it's important to remember that stretch marks are a natural part of pregnancy for many women. They tell a story of growth and change, and honestly, many women embrace them as a badge of honor.
I love that perspective. It's easy to get caught up in striving for perfection, but those marks represent something incredible that our bodies can do. I'm curious though, is there anything in the research about what influences how severe stretch marks are, or where they tend to show up?
There is. One study out of Cyprus surveyed over 200 women who had recently given birth, and they found that the abdomen was the most common location for stretch marks.
Yeah, that makes sense given how much stretching happens there.
Right. The hips and breasts were also common areas, and the majority of women said their stretch marks became more prominent during the third trimester, which is when that rapid growth really kicks in. Interestingly, this study also analyzed whether the type of delivery, C-section versus vaginal, made a difference.
I did it.
They actually found no significant relationship there, so the type of delivery doesn't seem to play a role in whether you develop stretch marks or not.
Well, that's good to know. It seems like we're really starting to get a clear picture here. Genetics and BMI are key risk factors, and rapid weight gain during pregnancy can definitely contribute to the problem. But we also have some controls: staying hydrated, a good skincare routine, and a healthy diet can all make a difference.
Absolutely. And I think it's empowering to know that you have some agency here. It's not just something that happens to you.
I completely agree. It feels like we're shifting the focus from fear and anxiety to informed action, which is a much better place to be. And I'm sure there's more to unpack here, right?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. We've only just scratched the surface. There's a lot more to explore in terms of the nuances of these risk factors, and also some intriguing research on specific dietary choices that might be helpful.
Well, I'm eager to dive deeper into all of that. But first, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll explore some of those additional research findings and see what else we can learn about preventing those pesky stretch marks.
So you mentioned some intriguing research on specific dietary choices that might impact stretch marks. Let's dig into that.
Yeah, I'm really fascinated by this one study. It was published in the Taiwanese Journal of Obstetrics and Gynecology, and it focused on Chinese women specifically. They surveyed over 400 women who had recently given birth, and they really took a deep dive into all sorts of variables, including their age, their height, BMI, weight gain during pregnancy, and what they were eating.
Wow, that's a pretty comprehensive data set. What jumped out at you?
Well, their findings really reinforced the role of BMI. They saw that women with higher BMI, both before and after pregnancy, were significantly more likely to have stretch marks. But here's a twist. They also found a connection between height and stretch marks. Taller women were actually less likely to develop them.
That is interesting. I wonder why that would be.
Yeah, the researchers theorized that it might have to do with the way skin tension is distributed. Taller women have more surface area, so the stretching might be less concentrated in specific spots.
That makes sense, like spreading the force over a larger area. Did they find anything else about lifestyle factors?
Yes. This study looked at daily sitting time and found a link there too. Women who spent more time sitting each day were more likely to get stretch marks on their legs. And get this, they had less severe stretch marks on their abdomens.
Less severe on their abdomens? That seems counterintuitive.
I know, right? The researchers thought it might be because women who sit more tend to have stronger abdominal muscles, which could help counteract the stretching there. But it definitely shows how complex this whole issue is.
Right, there are so many interconnected factors at play here. What about the dietary piece? I'm always curious about what we eat. affects our skin.
This is where it gets really interesting. They analyzed the women's diets, focusing on foods thought to impact collagen production, either positively or negatively. And guess what? Women who regularly ate foods rich in estrogen and collagen, like honey, trotters, milk, freshwater fish, eggs, and tremella mushrooms, were less likely to have stretch marks.
Hold on, tremella mushrooms, what are those?
They're a type of edible mushroom often used in Chinese cuisine. They have a delicate, almost jelly-like texture. And this study suggests they might be a real powerhouse for skin health. Women who ate at least 50 grams of tremella mushrooms per week had the lowest rate of stretch marks among the whole group.
That's amazing. I've read some preliminary research about tremella mushrooms and their potential benefits for skin hydration and elasticity. So this finding makes a lot of sense. It's like adding an internal moisturizer.
Exactly. Of course, more research is needed to confirm all of this. But it's definitely promising. This whole study really highlights how a holistic approach is key when it comes to managing stretch marks during pregnancy.
I couldn't agree more. It's not just about slapping on some cream or lotion. It's about taking care of your body from the inside out, right?
Absolutely. And there's another study I want to bring up. This one was published in the Journal of the Chinese Medical Association. They surveyed over 200 Turkish women and looked at a bunch of different factors. Once again, family history of stretch marks popped up as a significant predictor. And so did higher BMI. But they also found something quite surprising.
Okay. I'm intrigued. What was it?
They discovered that women carrying boys were statistically more likely to develop stretch marks than those carrying girls.
Really? That is surprising. I wonder what could be behind that. Hormonal differences, maybe? Or perhaps something about how boys tend to be a bit bigger at birth?
It definitely raises some interesting questions for further research. And on the topic of things that surprised me, they didn't find a significant link between daily water intake and stretch marks in this study.
That is unexpected. I would thought hydration would play a much bigger role.
Me too. But that's what the data showed. It just goes to show how much we're still learning about this whole topic.
Absolutely. It's a constant process of discovery. What else did they find?
Well, when it came to smoking, they did see a slight correlation with stretch marks, which isn't too shocking since smoking damages skin elasticity.
Right, that makes sense. Smoking is a no-go for so many reasons, and this just adds yet another one to the list.
And just like in the other studies we've looked at, using preventative creams and oils didn't seem to make a significant difference in this one either.
It seems like those topical treatments just aren't the magic bullet they're often marketed to be. But what really stood out to me in this study was their emphasis on education and awareness.
Yeah, I agree that's so important. They really highlighted the role of healthcare providers in informing pregnant women about stretch marks, what causes them, and what they can do to minimize their risk.
It's all about empowering women with knowledge and understanding. Knowledge really is power, especially when it comes to your body and your pregnancy.
Exactly. We've covered so much ground here: genetics, BMI, weight gain, hydration, skincare, diet. It can feel a bit overwhelming. What would you say are the top 3 takeaways for someone who's concerned about stretch marks?
Great question. First, I'd say manage your weight gain throughout your pregnancy. Work with your healthcare provider to find a healthy pattern for you. Second, focus on a balanced diet rich in nutrients that support skin health, lots of fruits, veggies, and maybe even those tremella mushrooms we talked about. And third, don't stress too much about things you can't control, like your genetics. Instead, focus on the things you can do to support your skin and your overall well-being during this incredible journey.
Those are great takeaways. It's all about informed action and self-care. And I think it's important to remember that even if you do develop stretch marks, they don't diminish your worth or your beauty.
Absolutely. They're a natural part of pregnancy for many women. They tell a story. And many women embrace them as a sign of the amazing things their bodies have accomplished.
I love that perspective. It's about reframing the narrative, shifting our focus from shame to acceptance and celebration.
Right. And remember, there are treatments available that can help minimize their appearance if you choose to go that route. But ultimately, it's about what feels right for you and your body.
So well said. It feels like we've really unpacked the science of stretch marks here, and also addressed the emotional side of things, which is equally important. But before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to circle back to something we briefly mentioned earlier, those treatments that can help reduce the appearance of stretch marks that are already there.
It's definitely worth discussing, especially for those who are feeling self-conscious about their stretch marks. While complete removal is often difficult, there are options that can make a real difference.
We touched on laser therapy, but what exactly does that involve? And are there other options out there?
Laser therapy is one of the most popular and effective treatments for stretch marks. It essentially uses targeted light energy to stimulate collagen production and encourage skin cell regeneration in the affected area. This can help fade the appearance of the marks and improve the texture of the skin.
So it's kind of like kickstarting the healing process, but in a very focused way.
Exactly. And there are actually different types of lasers used for this purpose, depending on the color and age of the stretch marks. Some lasers target the redness of newer marks, while others are better for older white marks. A dermatologist can help determine the best option for you.
That's helpful to know. Are there any downsides to laser therapy?
Well, it's not a one-time fix. Typically, multiple sessions are needed to see optimal results, and it can be a bit pricey depending on the type of laser used and how many sessions you need.
So it requires some commitment and investment, but it sounds like it can be worth it for those who are bothered by their stretch marks.
Right. And it's important to have realistic expectations. While laser therapy can significantly improve the appearance of stretch marks, it may not completely erase them.
I see. So what about other options? Are there any alternatives to laser therapy?
There are. Microneedling is another increasingly popular treatment for stretch marks. It involves using a device with tiny needles to create controlled micro-injuries in the skin, which triggers the body's natural healing process and stimulates collagen production. This can help improve skin texture and reduce the appearance of stretch marks.
So it's a bit like giving the skin a little wake-up call to encourage it to repair itself.
Exactly. And microneedling is often a more affordable option than laser therapy, although multiple sessions are usually required for best results.
That's good to know. Are there any topical treatments that are actually effective? We've already debunked the olive oil and cocoa butter myth, but are there any creams or lotions that can make a difference?
There are some topical treatments that show promise, although they're not miracle cures. Retinoids, which are derivatives of vitamin A, can help stimulate collagen production and improve skin cell turnover. They're often found in prescription creams or serums, and they can be effective for both preventing and treating stretch marks.
So if you're already using a retinoid for acne or anti-aging, that could be a bonus.
Exactly. And there are also some over-the-counter creams and lotions that contain ingredients like hyaluronic acid, peptides, and silicone, which can help hydrate and plump the skin, making stretch marks appear less noticeable. However, the evidence for their effectiveness is still somewhat limited.
So while those topical treatments might not be a primary solution, they could be a helpful addition to a comprehensive approach that includes managing weight gain, staying hydrated, and eating a healthy diet.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's all about taking a multifaceted approach, addressing the issue from both the inside and the outside.
I think we've covered a lot of ground here, and hopefully our listeners are feeling more informed and empowered to make choices that are right for them.
I agree. We've debunked myths, explored the science, and highlighted both preventative strategies and treatment options. It's all about taking control of your journey and feeling good in your own skin, stretch marks or not.
So we talk about laser therapy and microneedling for treating existing stretch marks. But what about those of us who are looking for more natural approaches? Is there anything in the research about that?
Oh, there is. There's some interesting research emerging on topical treatments using natural ingredients. One study we looked at actually looked at the effectiveness of a cream containing Centella asiatica extract. It's a plant that's been used in traditional medicine for centuries, and it's known for its wound healing and skin soothing properties.
Centella asiatica. I've definitely seen that ingredient popping up in skincare products lately.
Yeah, it's gaining popularity for good reason. This particular study found that the Centella asiatica cream significantly improved the appearance of stretch marks after 12 weeks of use. It helped reduce redness, improve skin elasticity, and even stimulate collagen production.
That's pretty impressive for a natural ingredient. So it seems like Centella asiatica could be a promising option for those who prefer more plant-based approach.
Yeah, definitely worth exploring. And there's also some research on the use of rosehip oil for stretch marks. It's rich in vitamins A and C, as well as essential fatty acids, which are all beneficial for skin health. Some studies have shown that rosehip oil can help reduce the appearance of scars and improve skin tone, so it's being investigated for its potential to minimize stretch marks as well.
Oh wow, it sounds like there's some really exciting possibilities in the world of natural skincare. I'm curious though, are there any lifestyle changes or habits that can help minimize the appearance of existing stretch marks? We've talked about prevention, but what about once they're already there?
Yeah, there are definitely things you can do to support your skin's health and potentially make those stretch marks less noticeable. For example, staying well hydrated is just as important for treating existing stretch marks as it is for preventing them. When your skin is hydrated, it's more plump and supple, which can help minimize the appearance of those lines.
So keep drinking that water even after the baby arrives.
Exactly. And remember that healthy diet we talked about? It's beneficial for treating stretch marks too. Those collagen-boosting foods can help improve skin elasticity and strength, which can make a difference over time.
It seems like a healthy lifestyle is really the foundation for everything, both prevention and treatment.
I completely agree. And I think it's also important to address the emotional side of this too. We've talked about accepting and embracing our stretch marks, but I know that can be easier said than done for some women.
It's a process, for sure. And it's okay to have mixed feelings about those marks.
Absolutely. If you're feeling self-conscious about your stretch marks, there are things you can do to feel more confident in your own skin. One thing that can be helpful is to find ways to celebrate your body for what it's done. Remember, those stretch marks are a testament to the incredible journey of pregnancy and childbirth.
That's a beautiful way to look at it. It's about shifting our perspective from seeing them as flaws to seeing them as symbols of strength and resilience.
Right. And if you're finding it difficult to adjust to the changes in your body, don't hesitate to reach out for support. Talking to a therapist or counselor who specializes in body image can be incredibly helpful. They can provide tools and strategies for cultivating self-acceptance and building a more positive relationship with your body.
That's such important advice. Sometimes we need a little extra help to navigate those emotional challenges. And I think it's important to remember that you're not alone in this. So many women experience these same feelings.
Absolutely. Connecting with other moms, whether in person or online, can be a powerful way to share experiences, offer support, and realize that you're not the only one going through this.
Yeah, there's something so comforting about knowing that you're part of a community. It can make those challenges feel less isolating.
I couldn't agree more. And remember, there's no right or wrong way to feel about your stretch marks. Some women embrace them wholeheartedly, while others choose to pursue treatments to minimize their appearance. Both are valid choices, and it's about what feels right for you.
I think that's a perfect note to end on. It's your body, your journey, and your choice.
Well said. And remember, knowledge is power. The more you understand about stretch marks, the better equipped you'll be to make informed decisions that align with your values and priorities.
Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today. This has been such an insightful and empowering conversation.
It's been my pleasure.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of stretch marks during pregnancy. We hope you've gained valuable knowledge and a fresh perspective on this common experience. Remember, you are beautiful, strong, and capable, no matter what your skin looks like. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and most importantly, stay kind to yourself.